Implementation meeting number 3, week 8, group 6. Our roles: Joe played the role of the facilitator as well as the recorder, Amira, timekeeper, myself, Tanya, the presenter. Okay, we did the consultancy protocol this week. Practicing teacher is myself again. The consultants, Amira and Joseph. Step 1, presenting the dilemma. Now, I'm noticing that my students are not elaborating on their ideas. This is a major dilemma because it is a English reading language arts course. So that's what the requirement is to meet the standards of the class. They're also providing details, and they're not giving me textual evidence to support their answers. Their work shows no solid effort at thinking outside of the box. And they make short and unclear responses for their constructive responses. Okay, the presentation of the artifact, students were tasked to respond to 2 topics. They get to choose out of 6. I need them to have a well-written response, be able to speak on this topic in class. Having this laid a foundation for my students. Having that requirement to have them speak on it in class, it made them prepared, and it made them think carefully about what they were going to write. So this helped with curing the dilemma, and then giving them an option to choose from. It gives them freedom and gives them a little bit of control over their work. And at the end, it gives you ownership. You know, I can see that my students took pride in what they selected. So with that being said, this is a brief overview of what a student submitted. I believe it was a double-sided page. She picked topic 3, which supports the idea that the book is not an anti-cop book. She even put in some things from the text that took place, you know, explaining that the police brutality can affect both sides, the officer and the victim. Okay, she mentioned that the book showed how police brutality had affected Paul, the officer, and consequences that Paul's had to make on his family. So that was enough information right there to support her opinion. Okay. The second one she chose was a song. They had to choose whether a song could fit with the theme or the situation that Quinn was going through. Anyhow, she chose Loyalty by Kendrick Lamar. I believe we actually played this in class, and students did an analysis on that song and compared it to the Loyalty that was shared in the book. Anyhow, this was a great turnout. I want to roll over to why this artifact had took place. Again, this is during my presentation phase in our group meeting. Other attempts to address the dilemma, I tried a 3-step process. Step 1, answer with details. Step 2, provide details from the text. Step 3, connect the details as it relates to the text. For some reason, this assignment worked for half of my students, but not that other half. And normally that other half of students is filled with the slackers, or it's filled with people who do the bare minimum. So my students that do bare minimum work, they're not thinking outside of the box, and they're giving me and submitting anything. So I've tried so many attempts to engage them, and doing this assignment definitely worked. Okay, so the clarifying questions that the consultants had for me were pretty solid. They asked if I could approach this by providing clearer instructions or ask them open-ended questions. Honestly, that is the goal, to provide clearer instructions and open-ended questions. So that's something I do in my practice on a daily basis. You know, for some reason, that did not work for my students. They will pick and choose what they want to answer and just, you know, and still pass because it's not a 100, but it's a 70. You know, those bare minimum people. So it didn't work, but it did work. You get what I'm saying? People choose what they want to do. Did the 3-step process work? Again, it worked, it didn't work. It worked for some students, it didn't work for all of my students. Okay, the last clarifying question they wanted to know was, did I provide an example for step 3, the full detailed response? I did not provide an example for step 3. that is because I wanted them to get the information themselves. With English, there's no wrong answer. You just need proof to validate your answer. So I just needed them to provide the solution. Step 3, reflecting. Joe and Amira, their advice is to provide an example of the expectation. Amira reflects on when she was teaching. When I used to teach, I always demonstrated a project by doing it. That way they had a model to follow. Step 4, in the response step of the protocol, I mentioned that in class we typically do what we do, and then they do their independent practice. Okay? I feel like the we do is pretty solid. They are high schoolers. I do, we do, they do independently. That will work too as a great strategy in my classroom, and I do plan to implement it. A few brainstorming things that we covered during our meeting. I'll go over this briefly so that we can end on time. Have I thought about the impact that providing an example will have in my students' learning? What if teachers didn't have to wear so many hats? I agree that giving students a model, great practice to incorporate in my classroom, like I said earlier. The assignment that was implemented on the data action planning sheet was a method to increase literacy skills. Like I mentioned earlier, incorporating the music, engaged learners, and it required them to speak on a topic that motivated them. And talking about this topic and being prepared, it actually motivated them to give good responses. Okay, and giving them choices. It gives them ownership in their work. Debriefing, everyone was certified with their roles. I was a bit overwhelmed with the protocols, but honestly, I like this protocol way much better than the tuning protocol. This one gave me more valuable data. Thanks for your time.